Welcome to Freaky Fauna Friday, where every Friday we take a little time and explore some of the freaks of nature from around the planet we cherish so deeply. So please, jump aboard and let's explore the wilds together. Welcome back to Freaky Fauna Friday. I am the great and peaceful Mystery.
And I'm Jay.
And today we're going to talk about a man.
A man on Freaky Fauna?
Which, humans are fauna.
Guess.
No, we're going to talk about a puffin man with his puffin plan.
Oh, that sounds puffin great. I don't know how that fit in there, but
It didn't.
I tried to make it work.
Man, that was a shoehorn. No, we're going to talk about the puffin man.
The puffin man.
Yeah, so the first, I know this is out of order, so the week following this episode, a lot of the episodes are kind of themed around conservation and the work that are done and how preventing some animals from becoming cryptids.
Okay.
So today we're going to do about the puffin man, a biologist and ornithologist that was classified as insane. And
Many ornithologists are.
they are. But no, he was actually right. So many people think of Dr. Steve Krass. Now it's Kress.
Okay. Cress?
Crass.
I say cress.
Crass.
Yeah.
But AKA, he's the puffin man.
Ah.
He's widely revered to be the main reason of the reestablishment of puffin colonies on the coast of Maine.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And rightfully so. But when it comes to bird conservation, Steve has done so much more than that, which is already a crazy thing. That's the only reason puffins are back to the U.S.
It's because of this man.
Because of the puffin man, is because of Steve. But would you have something to say?
Puffin man. Doing good things out there.
With his puffin plan. So Steve, when he was a graduate student at Cornell University many years ago, interestingly, Steve himself is a graduate of Cornell. Oh, sorry. The author of this first met Steve when he was a graduate student at Cornell.
Okay. So
This
earlier
is
in life.
Written by Jeffrey and Allison Wells, which are both Nature of Maine blog, but they're both biologists.
Okay.
So it's written by biologists about a biologist. Well, like many Cornell grad students who are also birders, spent countless hours in the world-famous Cornell Lab of Ornithology, considering that our Ike to be the birding capital of the world. And it is. Maine has, Cornell University, that area has tons and tons of crazy birds. We talked about the osprey that ended up, not the osprey, the Steller sea eagle that ended up there in the wrong ocean.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then some neotropical cormorants end up there, which are from like Central and South America. Birds end up in weird places.
Must be the lobster they like.
It's the lobster.
Yeah.
It's the same lobster.
Just one. He's very good friends with birds. Many of them. Word's gotten around.
So, although Steve's Seabird project was part of the National Arboretum, his work was housed in the outbuilding that was considered a part of Lab of the O, as birders call it. When the completion of the lab's new Johnson Center of Birding and Biodiversity was completed in the early 2000s, Steve moved into that. So did we. But then we had become a part of the O-Lab team. Our inside view gave us more opportunities to see firsthand how Steve's work inspired an awe. Sure, his characteristics, his charisma, his charismatic subject matter, who could resist the adorable puffins?
They are cute animals.
So I'm going to talk about Steve now for a minute.
Okay.
So Steve, he super credited. He was a biologist that pretty much wanted to bring puffins back to North America. They are in Canada still, and Iceland, Greenland, So puffins nest on islands and rock outcrops. It's called a rookery.
Okay.
When they're in big groups and they're breeding and stuff like that.
Not much cragland? Crag?
It wouldn't be a crag. No.
Crag, no crags. Okay.
No, so they nest in these areas. So they were wiped out in North America due to overhunting.
Okay.
People like eating puffins. And I believe in Iceland they're still eating puffins to this day.
What did Steve have to say about that?
Well, I mean, he's in America.
That's true. It's out of his jurisdiction.
Out of his jurisdiction. But so they were overhunted. But Steve was noticing that migrating puffins were still flying up and down the coast.
Okay.
So he was convinced, he had an idea of how to try to convince some of these puffins to start stopping. They're passing perfect rookery habitat. They haven't been hunted in North America for over 100 years.
Okay.
But they're just, the local populations have been wiped out so hard. So the food was there, the habitat was there, the rookery spots were there to give birth and, raise young and stuff like that. But they were flying right over. They were not stopping. So Steve came up with a crazy, crazy idea.
Okay.
He started painting puffin decoys and hiding them in the rookery spots.
To get them to come down?
And he made fake nests, and he would go out and he'd move them around and stuff like that. Thousands.
Wow.
This for years. Got made fun of, saying that he was nuts, that
Ain't gonna work.
it's not going to work. And then one day, Steve was out there, and a puffin landed amongst his decoys.
Uh-huh.
And then another one. And then another one. And now he's established, I don't have it here in front of me, but I believe around a dozen puffin rookeries in North America. I don't know if it's true anymore, but there for a long time, every puffin rookery in North America was established by Steve.
Wow. So they were wrong.
They were wrong. It took years. And finally, the puffins flying overhead said, well, there's a lot of puffins over there. It might be a good spot to try. So as the puffins started moving in, they took the decoys out because they had living puffins there.
Right. They don't need the decoys no more.
And it blew up after they got a couple to establish. Because when they would migrate, then they would come in and land. So other puffins would follow them into land.
See, you just got to have a plan and stick to it. See it through.
And there's a couple species of puffins. I know egg rock rookery was a big one. Let's see.
It's too easy to give up on your thoughts and ideas, especially when other people are out there saying no. But you know what? You need to say no to them. Stick to your plans. Do what your heart tells you.
So mostly Atlantic puffins.
Oh,
which
okay.
they get crazy bills. But yeah, actually, on next week's Patreon episode, we're going to talk about the puffin's big cousin, the great unk.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, so let's see. So I was absolutely thrilled. Steve and the Natural Resource Council of Maine, Conservative Leadership, awarded him a Lifetime Achievement Award. But it was a reminder that Steve was a great bird conservationist. His approachable style set him on many legends for the field. He certainly contributed to his time success tremendously. As a reflection of the ability of nature to educate and seemingly no end to his knowledge and accomplishment. Mariners, or how do you ever say it, Maine people?
Yeah.
Even those who don't necessarily consider themselves birders are so proud about Steve's involvement in the conservation project. They started the most famous, as well mentioned, being his reintroduction of the Atlantic puffin to the eastern egg rock after 130 years of absence of the species.
Oh, we almost got to give Steve a hand.
Oh, I don't even know where that button is.
I'm just kidding. All right. I think it's right there, the orange one. Yeah. Steve.
To a colorblind person, there's 4 orange ones.
You got the right one.
Let's see. Where was I? But Steve's footprints extended all across the world. The techniques he pioneered using this type of stuff we talked about were now used in hundreds, if not thousands, of conservation projects across the planet.
From one man's idea springs thousands.
Steve assembled his team to bring back and steward not only Atlantic puffins, but other seabird species across the Gulf of Maine Island. Today, the Arboretum Seabird Institute, as they're all fortunate that Steve had trained and inspired hundreds, if not thousands, of young seabird biologists in his career, who have gone on to carry their own conservation projects all across the world. Amazingly, though, Steve found ways to make sure his work hasn't only been in training scientists. Steve has made ornithology accessible to the masses. Since the 1960s, he's become a leader in the National Arboretum's famed Hog Island Nature Camp. Hog Island. Which has educated thousands of nature lovers over its years and has featured, in addition to himself, those who bring our the birding genus, including Ken Kofferman, Scott Wurdersell, and the father of modern bird guides himself, Roger Troy Peterson.
Wow.
Which the Peterson guides are, like I have the Peterson guides.
Okay.
It's probably the #1 book for IDing any kind of animal. Like they do the Peterson guide of amphibians, reptiles, North America. They do the birds of North America. And then they'll have, Peterson guides are the book.
Right, yeah. That's the bird Bible.
Or any like for it doesn't have a key in it to help you figure out what's there, but it has pictures and it shows you known ranges and pop-up ranges and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I wanted to take some time and talk about Steve. But yeah, so Steve had a crazy idea and yeah.
Saw it through. You know, even when the doubters said, no, man, you're crazy. Maybe he is crazy, but in a good way. And we need more crazy like that. Good crazy. Just have a crazy good idea, positive idea, and you just go for it.
Just don't let people stop you.
You know, we need more. It just seems like conservationists with the name Steve just seem to do a good job, don't they?
You know of another one?
Steve Irwin.
Oh.
That's a pretty big one. I thought maybe you'd get that right away.
Well, I think he's the featured person of 2 episodes next week.
Oh, here we go. Good. This is a foreshadow, huh?
I thought you thought of another Steve that was a conservationist. I was impressed.
I may know one, but I don't want to.
I know one, but I'm not going to say his name.
Oh, okay. Why not?
He's a crazy little Irishman from Chicago.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fair enough. That's good. See, another one. That's another one. Add him to the list. Adam, if you know a Steve out there that's a conservationist, send us his name. And if you know a Steve that isn't doing conservation work,
be like, what are you doing?
And you think he should, write him a nice letter. Give him some words of encouragement this weekend.
Be like, you're wasting your life.
That's your Freaky Fauna Friday weekend goal. Breathe some fresh air and find a friend named Steve and nudge him into some conservation work.
Do you like puffins?
I've never eaten them.
Do you like how?
Oh, you mean just like, yeah, no. They're cool looking birds. I always like their beaks.
I think it's Iceland that I see where they eat them still.
Yeah.
And the way that they prepare them, it just looks awful.
Oh.
But I think that's a lot of Icelandic dishes, at least to an American palate.
Well, when you live in the Arctic Circle on an isolated island.
Like the Greenland sharks they have because they're so rich in ammonia. You would die if you just ate a piece of it.
Oh, geez.
You would die.
Oh, well, let's spin this back to a positive note.
I'm just saying that God did that to animals. Just like animals you're not supposed to eat.
Don't eat whale sharks. Is that what you said? Or Greenland sharks?
Greenland sharks.
Oh, are they Greenland sharks?
Yeah. It's the only animal they got up there they can catch. It's big.
They're, geez.
So they have to bury them. First, they either leave them out to dry for 1.5 years, or they bury them for 8 months and eat them in like soup.
Let's go back to the puffins.
I'm just saying. But the puffins, I know one of the things they do is they cook them inside like a seal's stomach.
That may not be so bad.
It doesn't look right.
It doesn't look right, but it sounds like it would hold flavor.
All right. I've been the great and peaceful Mr. E.
And I've been Jay.
And we'll catch you next week, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Freaky Fauna Friday. If you want to help the podcast grow, remember to share and give it a 5-star review.